There's a story moving through the country right now, and it started in the quietest way imaginable, with a woman alone in her office, late on a Tuesday, the heater ticking against the cold, the window dark, the city outside reduced to a low electric hum. Her name doesn't matter as much as what she did for a living. For nearly 30 years, she sat across from people at the worst moments of their lives. A therapist, the kind who learned long ago to keep her own face still while someone came apart in the chair in front of her. She'd seen grief that hollowed people out. She'd seen the slow erosion of a marriage, the panic in a man's voice when the savings ran dry, the particular silence of someone who stopped expecting anything good to happen. She thought she'd seen everything. She thought, after all those years, that there were no surprises left for her inside her own skin. And then a small experiment found its way to her. Nothing grand, just an instruction someone had passed along. Hold your attention on a single thought for 17 seconds without letting it slip. That was all. 17 seconds of unbroken attention. She didn't quite believe anything would come of it. She rolled her eyes. Of course she did. She was trained to. 30 years of evidence had taught her to distrust anything that sounded that simple. But it was late, and the office was cold, and she was the kind of tired that makes even a skeptic curious. So she set a timer. She closed her eyes, and for 17 seconds, she held one thought, steady, refusing to let it scatter. When the timer went off, she sat very still, because something had shifted, not in the room, in her, somewhere beneath the ribs, in the place she'd spent a career teaching other people to locate. Something had moved, quietly, unmistakably, and she could not, for the life of her, explain what it was. And that's the thing I keep turning over. How does 17 seconds of plain attention reach inside a woman who has spent her whole life helping other people heal, and touch something she didn't know was still there? Because there's an answer, a real one, something older and stranger, and far more useful than the easy explanations we reach for. So stay close tonight, and let's follow it, all the way to what she found in those 17 seconds. She didn't tell anyone for 3 days. That's the part she kept coming back to when she finally spoke about it. Not the technique, not the 17 seconds, the silence afterward. A licensed therapist, someone trained to distrust feelings that arrive without explanation, sat in her car in a parking lot and noticed that something had shifted and she didn't have a language for it. So she said nothing. She drove home. She made dinner. And the strangeness stayed with her like the smell of rain that hasn't fallen yet. Let me tell you what she described, because the details matter more than the conclusion. She said it started in the chest, not the heart pounding, the opposite, a loosening, as if a fist she didn't know she'd been making for years had quietly opened. You know that grip. You've carried it through mortgage statements and doctors' voicemails and the long pause before your adult child answers the phone. It lives just beneath the collarbone, and most of us have held it so long we've forgotten it isn't part of our anatomy. She said the room got warmer. Same thermostat. Same gray afternoon light coming through the blinds. But her hands, which had been cold all morning, weren't cold anymore. The tips of her fingers tingled faintly, the way they do when blood returns to a limb you've been sitting on. She remembers looking at them like they belonged to someone else. And then the thing she truly didn't expect, a lightness behind the eyes. Not joy. She was careful to say it wasn't joy, because joy would have been too easy to dismiss. It was more like the absence of a low sound she hadn't realized was playing. The hum, that background static of low-grade dread that hums beneath a certain age, beneath a certain decade, the white noise of the body that has been bracing for bad news since somewhere around 50. For about a minute and a half, the hum was gone. Now, she's a skeptic. I want you to hold on to that, because it's the only reason this story is worth your time. A true believer feeling lighter proves nothing. But a woman who spends her professional life watching people lie to themselves. A woman whose entire training is built to catch the placebo, to name the wishful thinking before it takes root. That woman sat in a parking lot and could not explain away what her own body had just done. So she did what people like her do. She ran it again the next day, like an experiment. And it happened again. Smaller but real. The fist opened. The hands warmed. And here is where the viral version got it wrong, and where it stops being about her and starts being about you. The technique didn't add anything to her. It didn't import some new energy from the outside. Everything that happened inside a system she already owned. Her own nervous system, her own breath, her own chemistry, responding within seconds to a single deliberate change in where she placed her attention. Think about what that means. Somewhere inside you, right now, there is a mechanism that can take that fist beneath your collarbone and open it. Something that can quiet the hum. It's not metaphor. It's not a slogan. It's the plain relationship between your mind and your body. The kind of thing that has been part of you since before you were born. And nobody ever taught you where to find it. You learn a great many things. To parallel park, to file taxes, to read the small print on an insurance form. 60 years of instruction. And the one part of you that governs whether your days feel like drowning or like floating. That one, somehow they left out. You were handed a body with a calming mechanism built in and never given a manual. She found a corner of that manual by accident, and what she felt wasn't magic. It was a glimpse of how the system is supposed to run when it isn't held hostage by the news, the bills, the silence of a house that used to be louder. There's more to the technique than I've given you so far, and that's deliberate. Because if I hand you the whole of it now, before you understand what it's actually moving inside you, you'll do what she almost did. You'll dismiss it. You'll file it next to every other thing that promised too much. So let's go slowly. This matters because it's about your chest, your hands, your hum, not hers. The thing she stumbled into is not far from where you're sitting, and we have the time to find it properly. There's a finding I keep coming back to: quiet, the way the important ones usually are. No headlines, just something tucked into a journal that most people will never read. The people doing the work were measuring the weight of emotions that were never fully felt. Anger that got swallowed at a dinner table 30 years ago. Grief that nobody had time for. Disappointment folded up small and pushed into a drawer because there were bills to pay and children to raise and a life that wouldn't wait. And here's what kept showing up. Those emotions don't leave. They don't expire. They settle into the body the way smoke settles into the walls of a house. Invisible, but you can smell at the moment you walk in. I want you to feel something for a moment. Not think it. Feel it. That tiredness you carry that sleep never quite fixes. The kind where you wake up after 8 hours and your bones still feel like they've been carrying something all night. The doctor checks your blood. Everything comes back normal. And yet you know, somewhere underneath the normal, that something is heavy. Something is loaded. That's the weight I'm talking about. And most of us are carrying more of it than we'd ever admit. Picture a man at the end of a long day. He sits down in the dark before turning on a single light. The house is quiet. The refrigerator hums in the next room. And in that silence, before the television, before the phone, there's a feeling that rises in the chest, a low ache that has no name. He couldn't tell you what it is. He'd say he's just tired. But it isn't only the day. It's the years. It's the conversation he never finished. The apology he never got. The version of his life he stopped imagining somewhere around the age of 50 because it felt foolish to keep wanting. We tell ourselves we let things go, but the body keeps a different ledger than the mind. The mind forgives. The body files it away, and it charges interest. Think of all the dreams you shelved. Not killed, shelved. The business you almost started. The place you always meant to see. The instrument still in its case in the closet. The strings long gone slack. You didn't decide to give those up. They just got quietly deferred year after year until deferral became permanent. And here's the part nobody tells you. A deferred dream doesn't go silent. It stays with you, low and constant, the same ache you feel in the dark. And this is the question I want to set down in front of you, gently, the way you'd set down something heavy you'd been carrying without realizing. What if a great deal of what feels stuck in your life right now, the fatigue, the flatness, the sense that the good years are behind you, isn't the economy out there, or your age, or the world that's changed? What if it's not out there at all? What if it's the unprocessed weight you've been carrying for decades, sitting in your chest like silt at the bottom of a river, slowing everything that tries to flow through you? You can see it in the nervous system, in the subtle rhythm between heartbeats, the one that tells you, more honestly than any words, whether a body is at war with itself or at peace. In people carrying this kind of weight, the rhythm runs tight, constricted, a heart bracing for an impact that came and went 40 years ago, still flinching from a memory. Your body doesn't know the threat is over. It's still defending against the dinner table, still holding the breath it took when the bad news came all those years ago. And here's the thing I need you to understand before we go any further, because everything that comes after depends on it. That weight is not who you are. It's not a flaw in your character. It's not weakness, and it's not too late. It's something stored, something the body has been holding so long it forgot it was holding anything at all. But what the body learned, the body can unlearn. The same nervous system that taught itself to brace can be taught, breath by breath, to release. And the body that's been holding its breath for 30 years can learn, slowly and for real, how to finally let it go. Hold on to that. Because there's a woman in this story, a therapist who stopped reading about all of this and sat down one night to try it on her own breath, in her own chest, in the dark of her own quiet house. What happened next is where this turns. There's a particular kind of silence that lives in a house after the children have gone. You felt it. The way the floorboards seem louder now. The way the refrigerator hums in a kitchen that used to be full of noise. You stand at the window in the early morning, coffee going cold in your hands, steam curling up and vanishing, and you catch your own reflection in the glass. Older, tireder, and somewhere behind that face, a question you've been too busy to ask out loud. How'd I end up here? Not here in this room, here in this life. You did everything they told you. You showed up. You worked the long hours. You paid the mortgage on time. You put others first when there was nothing left of you to give. You built something, and yet, if you're honest, In that raw hour before the world wakes up, it feels like you've been running on a treadmill bolted to the same square of floor for 25 years. The legs moved. The landscape never changed. That's the ache. The one nobody names at dinner parties. The one you swallow when someone asks how you're doing and you say fine, because the truth is too heavy to set on the table between the salt and the bread. You were promised momentum. You were promised that effort compounds, that if you just kept your head down and your hands working, the years would stack up into something: security, peace, a sense that the climb was leading somewhere. And here you are, exhausted, with less to show for the work than the work seemed to promise. The world told you to push harder. Nobody told you that pushing harder was the wrong instruction. I want you to notice something. Feel it in your chest right now. That low, electric hum that sits just beneath the breastbone. It's not quite fear. It's not quite sadness. It's the residue of every disappointment you decided not to feel because feeling it would have stopped you cold. The deferred dream. The trip you never took. The version of yourself you set down on a shelf somewhere in your 30s and never went back for. And the cruelest part, the part that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. while the house ticks and settles around you, is the math. The arithmetic of remaining time. When you're 25, the future was an open field, endless in every direction. Now you can see the fence line. You feel the seasons moving faster. And that voice, the quiet one, whispers the thing you'd never say to another living soul. Asterisk, maybe this is just how it is. Maybe it's too late to change anything that matters. Asterisk. That voice is lying to you, but not in the way you think. Because here's what 25 years of running taught your body without your permission. Every morning you woke up racing. Every email, every bill, every hard conversation, your nervous system logged it, stored it, wired itself for survival instead of for living. You didn't stay in the same place because you lacked effort. You stayed because the instrument you were playing the whole game with, your own physiology, was stuck in a single, exhausted key. A flat, gray hum would just get through it. And a body held that long and strained doesn't reach for new possibilities. It can't even see them. It scans the room for threats, not for doors. You weren't failing at the climb. You were climbing in a body that had forgotten there was any other way to move. The same opportunity could walk into the room twice, and a worn-out nervous system would miss it both times. This is the thing the news won't tell you while it floods you with reasons to brace harder. The markets, the headlines, the warnings stacked on warnings. The real crisis was never just out there. It settled inside you, quietly, one stress-soaked morning at a time, until stuck stopped feeling like a circumstance and started feeling like who you were. But what the body builds, the body can take apart. That was the discovery a therapist made when she stopped trying to think her way out of her own gray years and started, instead, with her own breath and the slow work of teaching a frightened body that the danger had passed. Because before I show you what she found, you have to understand exactly what was waiting underneath all that fatigue. You have to feel where you actually are, not where the world told you should be by now. And the moment she stopped pushing was the moment everything she'd been chasing started, at last, to move toward her. There's a man you may have seen on a stage, pacing like a lion, voice booming over 10,000 people in a darkened arena. Tony Robbins, 6'7", hands the size of dinner plates. But that man, the one who seems immovable, sure of every word, wasn't born standing tall. He was a boy in a cold house in California, where the cupboards smelled of dust and bare wood because there was so little inside them, where the radiator never quite warmed the front room, and his mother's moods turned the air sharp and electric, the kind of silence you learn to read like weather before a storm. What changed him wasn't luck. It was repetition. Day after day, he chose a different thought. Not a slogan, not a wish. A worn path he walked again and again inside his own skull, until that path became a road, and the road became the way he moved through the world. And here's the part most people never hear. That isn't poetry, it's biology. Your brain is not a fixed thing, set in concrete at birth. It's more like a hillside in the rain. The first time water runs down it, it leaves the faintest trace, a thread you'd miss if you weren't looking. But let that same water run the same way, day after day, season after season, and the thread becomes a groove. The groove becomes a channel. And one day it's a riverbed so deep the water couldn't flow anywhere else if it tried. That's what your thoughts are doing. Right now, while you sit there, every time you rehearse the worry, the money that won't stretch, the body that aches more than it used to, the phone that doesn't ring the way it once did. You're not just feeling it, you're carving it. You're teaching your own brain that this is the natural direction for everything to flow. Scientists have a clinical phrase for it. They call it neuroplasticity, but strip away the lab coat, and it's something your grandmother could have told you. What you practice, you become. Sit at a piano long enough, and your fingers find the keys without you. Repeat a prayer long enough, and your mouth knows it before your mind catches up. And the mind remembers the suffering you feed it every single morning before your feet even hit the floor. The cruel thing, the thing almost nobody notices, is how invisible it is. You don't feel the road being built. There's no construction sign, no orange cones, no warning. You just wake up one day at 55 or 60 and discover that your default setting has become dread, that the first thought of the day arrives already heavy, and you assume that's just who you are now. That age did it, that the world did it, but you did it, quietly, faithfully, one repeated thought at a time. Think of Prince, the musician, a small man with a sound far bigger than his frame. He once said he heard the songs fully formed, that they were already there, and he simply had to reach out and take them. People called it genius, called it gift. But behind the myth was a man who practiced obsessively, alone, for hours that stretched into the dark, wiring his nervous system, deepening the same grooves we've been talking about, until the music ran through him as naturally as breath. He built the channel, then it flowed. The same machinery that made him extraordinary is sitting inside your skull. The same machinery. It doesn't care whether you use it to build a cathedral or a prison. It only knows repetition. It only knows the water and the slope and the direction you keep sending it. So sit with this, the way you'd sit with bad news from a doctor, not to frighten yourself, but to finally understand. The anxiety you feel isn't a verdict. It's a habit, a path worn smooth by a mind that was never taught it had a choice. The exhaustion that greets you at dawn isn't your character. It's your construction. And construction, this is the quiet mercy of it, can be redirected. The man on the stage, the musician in the dark, they weren't given better brains. They were given the same hillside you have. They simply learned somewhere along the way that the water goes where you point it. You've spent years, maybe decades, pointing at the storm. Not your fault, No one showed you the lever. No one told you that the thing running through you each morning was a thing you'd been building all along. But now you know, and knowing is the first stone moved in a different direction. Because if a repeated thought can dig a canyon of suffering without your permission, then a chosen one, practiced with the same patience, can dig towards something else entirely. And that's where this turns. Stay with me. There's a particular hour of the evening you know too well. The light has gone gray-blue outside the window. The house has settled into that quiet that isn't really quiet. The refrigerator humming in the next room, a clock somewhere marking time you didn't ask it to mark. And you sit down, maybe with a cup of coffee gone lukewarm in your hands, and you turn on the news. You do it almost without thinking, the way you've done it for 30 years. And the voices come. Listen to how they speak now. Not to you, at you. A little too fast. A little too bright in the way a smile can be too bright. They tell you the market's shuttered again today. They tell you the cost of the things you've always bought, the bread, the medicine, the tank of gas, has climbed somewhere you can't quite reach anymore. They tell you about a virus, a strain, a warning. They tell you a neighbor 3 states overdid something unthinkable. And then, without pause, they cut to a commercial about a cruise. You don't notice it happening. That's the thing. You think you're just watching, just staying informed, like a responsible person should. But somewhere in your body, something is keeping score. Feel it for a moment. Right now, the shoulders, are they up near your ears? The jaw, is it set, holding something? That low hum behind the breastbone, that tightness that lives just under the sternum and never fully lets go? You've stopped calling it anything. You decided it's just how a man your age feels at the end of a long day. You've made peace with a tenant who never paid rent. But that hum has a source. And the source is not your age. And it is not your weakness. And it is not some failure of yours to handle life like you used to. Here is what no one says out loud. The body does not know the difference between a real threat in the room and a man in a suit telling you your savings may not survive the year. The same ancient alarm fires. Something in you braces to run from what you cannot outrun, to fight what you cannot punch. Your great-grandfather felt this maybe twice a year when genuine danger came, and then it passed and his body washed clean. You feel it 40 times a day, from a screen, from voices whose work depends on holding your attention a little longer, and it never washes clean. That's the cruelty of it. The threat is never resolved because there's always another bulletin, another scroll, another red banner across the bottom of the picture. So it stays. It pools. It seeps into the cold mattress at 3 in the morning when you wake for no reason and stare at the ceiling, your heart going like you'd been running. It settles into the ache in your gut, the short fuse with people you love, the strange flatness where curiosity used to live. The world out there, the collapsing numbers, the lonely silence of a phone that doesn't ring like it used to, the sense that something is coming and you can't see its shape. All of that is real. I won't insult you by pretending it isn't. But here is the thing they will never tell you, because there's no money in it for them. The chaos out there only owns you to the degree it has set up a home inside you. The economy does not live in your chest. The headline does not live in your jaw. What lives there is your body's response to it. Repeated so many thousands of times, it has hardened into habit, the way a path through a field is worn by feet that always take the same route. The fear out there became something you carry, a low, steady draining pull that you now mistake for your own personality. Sit with that, because it cuts both ways. If a habit can be built in you by repetition, by what you take in day after day, hour after hour, then it can be unbuilt the same way. The same body that learned to hold the alarm can be taught deliberately, patiently to lay it down, not by ignoring the world, not by pretending, but by changing the one thing that was always quietly yours to change, the state you carry while you walk through it. That tightness under the breastbone is not a sentence. It's a signal. It's been trying to tell you something for years. And in the next breath, literally, in the very way you draw your next breath, we're going to begin teaching the body a different answer. So take that breath now, slow, and let's begin where it has always begun, inside you. Watch them sometimes. Two people facing the same blow. Same factory closes its doors. Same letter arrives in the same kind of envelope. That thin, official paper that always seems colder than it should. Same diagnosis read aloud in the same fluorescent room, where the air smells faintly of antiseptic and old coffee, and the silence stretches a beat too long after the words land. Same loss, same fear, same numbers falling on the same screen. And yet, one of them folds. You can almost see it happen. The shoulders drop first. The eyes go somewhere far away, somewhere you can't follow. They start sleeping too much or not at all. They stop answering the phone. The world keeps spinning, but they've quietly stepped off it, and nobody noticed the exact moment they let go. And the other one, same envelope, same diagnosis, same falling numbers, somehow stays standing. Not untouched. Don't mistake me. They feel it. You can see the weight on them too. The lines around the eyes a little deeper than last year. But there's something underneath them, a floor that doesn't give. They take the blow and they bend, and then slowly they rise back up. I've watched this my whole life. I'll bet you have too. And for a long time, I told myself the same comfortable lie that most people tell. I said it was luck. I said it was money. I said the one who stayed standing must have had a cushion the other one didn't, a savings account, a better job waiting, a family with deep pockets. But that's not what I saw. Not really. Because I've seen men with nothing in the bank carry their whole family through a winter with their spine straight and their voice steady. And I've seen men with every advantage in the world, the house, the pension, the safety net, crumble the moment the ground shifted under them. Money buys time. It is not by the floor underneath you. It never did. So if it isn't luck and it isn't money, what is it? What separates the man who drowns from the man who keeps his head above the same dark water? I want you to sit with that question for a moment, because it's the real question hidden inside everything you're afraid of right now. The closing factory, the rising prices, the test results you're waiting on, the quiet house that used to be loud with children. Underneath all of it, there's only one question that actually matters. Not whether the hard thing will come. It's already here. You can feel it in the room with you. The question is, what kind of person will you be when it lands? And here's what I've come to believe after years of watching. The difference between those two people is not out there. It's not in the envelope or the diagnosis or the bank statement. The difference is something inside them. Something that was there before the worst of it ever arrived. Something that, in most people, runs completely on its own, unguarded, untrained, unnoticed. There's an internal mechanism in a human being, a kind of steadiness you carry into every room before you say a single word. You felt it in other people, haven't you? You walk in, And before anyone speaks, you already know this person is heavy or this person is steady. You're not reading their words. You're reading something underneath the words. Something physical. Something real. The one who stays standing, they aren't braver. They aren't smarter. They have simply, somewhere along the way, learned to keep that steadiness from cracking when everything outside is shaking. Whether they did it on purpose or by accident, that's another story. But it's there. It's a setting. And here is the part almost no one tells us. That setting is not fixed. It is not your destiny. It is not your personality. It is not something you were born with or born without. It is a state. And a state can be tended, adjusted, strengthened, the same way you'd strengthen a muscle, working a little at a time until it holds the weight you ask of it. The two people facing the same blow were never separated by luck. They were separated by something they were each carrying quietly on the inside. And what I want to do next is show you where that thing actually lives and how the ones who stay standing learn to reach it. Have you ever stood in a doorway and felt your stomach drop before anyone said a word? The air felt heavier somehow. There was a tightness you couldn't name, a coldness that had nothing to do with the temperature. You couldn't see it. You couldn't point to it. But your body knew. Your shoulders pulled in. Your breath went shallow. Something inside you whispered, "Leave." You didn't decide to feel that. It happened to you. The room was transmitting something, and you received it. We don't talk about this much, you and I. We're practical people. We trust what we can measure, the bank statement, the lab result, the weather report. But all of us, every single one, have stood in a doorway and felt the mood of a place hit us like a wave. And all of us have walked into a kitchen where someone was grieving, even though they smiled and offered us coffee, and we knew. The smile was on their face. The truth was in the air. There's something moving between us that we've never been taught to name. The old folks called it a feeling. They'd say, "That man carries a dark cloud." They'd say, "She lights up a room." We laughed at it as poetry. But sit with it long enough, and you start to wonder if they were describing something real, something the body has always known and the mind forgot how to honor. Here's what I've come to believe, slowly, over years of watching people and watching myself. Every emotion you've ever felt has a texture to it. Anger doesn't feel like sorrow. Sorrow doesn't feel like peace. Fear has its own weight in the chest, its own taste at the back of the throat, its own clench in the jaw. These aren't just thoughts in your head. They are states of your entire body. The gut tightening, the hands going cold, the heartbeat speeding up before you've understood why. And here's the part that stopped me cold the first time I truly understood it. Even now, sitting still, your body is leaking that stayed out into the air around you, the way a fire pushes heat into a cold room, whether anyone asked for it or not. The dread you carry from the morning news. The quiet bitterness from a conversation that went wrong. The low, grinding worry about money that's become so familiar you've stopped noticing it. It's in your posture, your breath, the set of your face. All of it is moving out of you into every room you enter, into every face you meet. People feel it, even when you say nothing, even when you smile. Think about a moment, just a few breaths, when you manage to set the fear down. Think about why such a small thing might matter at all. It was never about pretending the trouble away. It was about what those breaths did to your body. For a few seconds, you stopped pushing fear out into the air. You stopped broadcasting that low hum of lack, of not enough, of something is coming to take it all. And the room around you, the people, the work, the faces you passed, began to receive something different. This is the thing the old folks knew that we forgot. When you live in a state of fear, your eyes narrow to the things that confirm the fear. Your voice tightens, and people pull back from you, which makes you more afraid. Your body, locked in alarm, can't sleep, can't heal, can't think clearly. So the problems multiply, which deepens the alarm. You don't just feel the dread. You start to live in a world that keeps handing the dread back to you again and again until you're certain that's simply how life is. That's not bad luck. That's not punishment. That's a loop. And the loop runs on the state your body keeps pushing out into the air. I'm not asking you to believe anything mystical tonight. I'm asking you to remember the doorway. Remember the room you wanted to leave. Remember the coffee and the smile that didn't fool you. You've already felt this your whole life. You just never named it. Because if a body braced in fear can pull more of the same toward you, then so can a body that has learned to steady itself. So can a body that has learned to slow its own rhythm, to soften its own breath, to send something other than alarm into the cold rooms of this world. And that the question of how a tired, frightened, 50-year-old body actually changes what it's been broadcasting for decades. That is not a matter of belief. That is a matter of doing. It begins with something as small as a long, slow breath out, the kind that drops the shoulders an inch and unclenches the jaw. Tomorrow night, we start there, with the hands, the breath, the pulse you can feel under your own thumb. Put your hand flat against the center of your chest, not to feel the skin, not to feel the cotton of your shirt, to feel the thing underneath. The drum that has been beating since before you had a name for yourself. Feel it now. Most days you never notice it. It runs in the dark like the furnace in the basement of an old house, keeping you alive while you forget it exists. But there are nights, and you know the ones I mean, when you feel it too much. When you wake at 3 in the morning and the room is cold and gray, and that drum is going fast and hard, like footsteps coming up the stairs. Your chest is tight. Your breath is shallow, high up near your collarbone, like you can't quite reach the bottom of it. And the thoughts arrive right on schedule. The money, the diagnosis you're waiting on, the phone that doesn't ring the way it used to. That is not just worry living in your head. That is your heart and your breath, locked in an argument with each other. Here is something almost nobody told us. For most of our lives, we were taught the heart is a simple pump, steady, mechanical, ticking along like the clock on the kitchen wall. That's a lie of convenience. Your heart does not beat like a metronome. It speeds and slows, breath by breath, in a living rhythm. When you breathe in, it quickens. When you breathe out, it eases. And the pattern of that conversation, smooth and even or jagged and broken, tells the truth about the state you're really in. Long before your mind admits anything is wrong, your heart has already filed a report. The therapist we've been following, the one who set out to test that little viral trick and ended up testing herself, she learned this the slow way, watching it happen to her own body. She'd been wearing a small sensor on her finger, the kind that reads the spaces between heartbeats. And on the bad days, she said, the line on the screen looked like a city skyline drawn by a shaking hand. Spikes and crashes. Chaos with a pulse. She wasn't imagining her unease. There was in front of her. But then she tried something so simple it almost felt like cheating. She slowed her breath. Not deep, Dramatic gulps of air, gentle. In for a count of about 5. Out for about 5. She let the out-breath be soft and long, like setting something heavy down on a table. And she did it while keeping her attention right there in the center of her chest on that old drum. 5 in, 5 out, nothing more. The smell of the cooling coffee on her desk. The gray light through the blinds. Just the breath and the heart and the quiet. Within a few minutes. And this is the part she could not argue with because it was printed on the screen in front of her. That jagged skyline began to smooth. The spikes settled into long, rolling waves like swells far out at sea. Her heart and her breath had stopped fighting. They've fallen into step. There's a name for it, and it's a plain one. Coherence. The body simply working with itself instead of against itself. And her thinking changed with it. The racing slowed. The room felt warmer. The road ahead seemed to widen again. There's a moment late at night when the house finally goes quiet. The refrigerator hums in the next room. Somewhere outside, a car passes and fades. And in that stillness, you notice something you've been avoiding all day. The place your mind goes when nothing else is pulling at it. Pay attention to that. That's what the woman found. Sitting in her office chair long after the last client had gone, the cold coffee forgotten at her elbow, the radiator ticking as it cooled. The 17 seconds she'd been teaching were never magic. There was no number with power inside it, no spell hidden in the counting. What she discovered, when she stripped away the glittering language she'd half believed for years, was something far older and far more honest than magic. She discovered attention. Think about where your attention has gone today. It went to the news. It went to the bill on the counter. It went to the ache in your knee, the silence from a son who hasn't called, the number in the bank account that's smaller than it was a year ago. You didn't choose any of that. Attention is a hungry animal, and left alone, it always wanders toward the wound. It licks at the thing that hurts, again and again. And each time it does, something quiet happens beneath the surface. the path gets deeper, because the brain is not a recording device. It's a sculptor. Whatever you give your attention to, it carves. The grooves you visit most become the grooves the mind falls into by default. This is not poetry. This is the plain mechanics of a living organ that reshapes itself around repetition. Like a footpath worn through grass by the same tired steps, until the dirt shows through and the green never comes back. The thought you rehearse becomes the thought you reach for. The fear you replay becomes the lens you see through. So here is the terrible thing, and then the freeing thing. The terrible thing is that most of us have spent decades practicing dread. We've rehearsed the worst outcome 10,000 times. We've built superhighways of worry, smooth and fast, and we travel them without even knowing we've left the house. That low hum the chest, that's not your nature. That's a habit worn so deep you mistook it for who you are. And the freeing thing? The grooves run both ways. This is what she understood. Finally, in that quiet office, her thumb pressing slow circles into her aching palm. The 17 seconds work not because the universe is listening, but because for 17 unbroken seconds, you're doing something you almost never do. You're holding your attention on a single image, and you're holding it there long enough that the sculptor begins to carve in a new direction. Most thoughts don't last. They flicker and scatter. A picture of something good appears for half a second and is swept away by the next wave of noise. But hold it. Hold it past the discomfort, past the moment your mind tries to flinch back to the familiar ache. Hold it for 10 seconds, 15, 17, and something shifts. The attention stops being a wild animal and becomes a tool warm in your hand. This is the bridge she'd been looking for her whole career. The thing she'd told clients in clumsier words for years. What you focus on with feeling, you strengthen. Not because the sky rewards you, but because you're quite literally training the instrument you experience your entire life through. And the feeling matters. This isn't cold mental gymnastics. When you hold an image and let yourself feel it, feel the warmth of it spreading behind your ribs, feel the quiet relief of it being true. The breath slows. The shoulders drop. The heart finds a steadier rhythm. The body stops bracing. And a body that isn't bracing is a body that can finally heal, think clearly, sleep deeply. That's what she felt that night. Not a miracle. Something better. A return. The current that had dragged her for years went slack. And for the first time in a long while, she felt the floor solid under her shoes, the lamplight warm on the side of her face. A small, sober power. The kind that doesn't announce itself, but changes everything underneath. And here's what I need you to understand, sitting wherever you're sitting right now. This is not reserved for therapists or monks or people with special gifts. The same instrument is in your hands. The same 17 seconds. The same quiet choice available to you in the next breath to stop feeding the wound and start carving a different road. You've been practicing something your whole life without knowing it. Feel the air move and pass your lips now, cool, unhurried. This breath is the chisel. Set it where you want the groove to run. You felt it last night, didn't you? That moment around 3 in the morning when the house goes so quiet you can hear the refrigerator breathing in the kitchen and your own pulse ticking somewhere behind your ear. The headlines were still glowing on your phone where you left it face down. Prices climbing. Friends you haven't called in months. A body that doesn't bounce back the way it used to. And in that silence, the mind starts its old work, pulling the worst threads, weaving them into a future you never agreed to. And you lie there and you let it. That's the part nobody admits. You don't fight it at 3 a.m. You watch it build, brick by brick, a whole catastrophe assembled in the dark while you stare at the ceiling and your chest gets tighter and your hands go cold. By the time the window grays out, you've lived through a dozen disasters that never happened, and you're more tired than when you lay down. That's the cost, not the crisis. The rehearsal of the crisis, night after night, until you forget what rest even felt like. So let me give you something to do with your hands instead. Not a belief, a practice. Something you can carry out of this room and into that 3 a.m. dark and feel it work. Start with the breath, because the breath is the one door into your own nervous system you can open from the inside. Most of us breathe high in the chest, fast and shallow, the way a frightened animal breathes, and the body reads that rhythm and answers in kind, winding tighter when it should be letting go. So tonight, you reverse it. Sit where you are. Let the air come in slow through the nose, counting 4, and feel the belly rise, not the shoulders. Hold for a soft count of 4, then let it go through the mouth, long and unhurried, counting 6, longer out than in, always. That longer exhale is the signal. Do that for a few rounds and you'll feel the shoulders drop, the jaw unclench, the static in the chest begin to thin. The body has its own quiet machinery for calling off the alarm, and the slow breath is how you reach the lever. Now the sleep, because so much of what breaks us isn't the crisis itself. It's facing the crisis on 4 broken hours of rest. There's a thing the old world never had and you do. Sound tuned to the rhythm your brain falls asleep in. When you drift toward deep rest, your brain waves slow into long, low waves, and you can lead the brain there by giving it that frequency to follow, the way a child falls in a step beside a walking parent. Low tones, somewhere in the range of a calm heartbeat, played soft beneath the dark. You don't study it. You don't analyze it. You let it become the floor of the room and you sink. Many who try it the first time wake up startled. Not because something happened, but because nothing did. No 3 a.m. wandering. Just morning arriving clean. And then the smallest thing of all. The one that sounds too simple to matter, which is exactly why it works. Once a day, morning is best before the world climbs onto your back. You take a few seconds, no more than the length of 2 slow breaths, and you hold one single thought. Not a wish list, not a demand to the universe. One image of how you want to feel by the end of the day. Steady, clear, unhurried. You hold it the way you'd cup a small flame against the wind, just long enough to feel it catch. A few seconds. That's all the mind can keep clean before the noise rushes back in, so you don't fight for more. You give it those seconds fully and you let it go. And here's the part that surprised me, the part one got wrong for years. It was never about the wanting. The ones who changed weren't straining hardest to picture a new car or a fatter bank account. They were the ones who, for a few honest seconds, let themselves feel what calm actually felt like in the body. The warmth behind the sternum, the loosening at the back of the neck. And feeling it, even briefly, the body began to look for more of it. What you send into a room all day long isn't your words. It's your state. And your state bends to a breath, a tone, a few held seconds. These aren't a slogan, and they aren't a system. 3 small things, all of them free, all of them yours by morning. The slow breath, the low sound, the handful of held seconds. You don't have to believe in them. You only have to do them. The world out there isn't going to get quieter. The headlines won't soften. But the man who can steady his own breathing at 3 in the morning, he meets that same world as a different creature entirely. And that change, the one that matters most, it doesn't start out there at all. It starts tonight, in the dark, with the next breath you choose to take slow. Sit with me for a moment. Not the way you sit through a waiting room, half your mind already somewhere else. I mean the way you'd sit on a porch as the light goes gold and the day finally lets go of you. There's something I want you to feel before I explain it, and explaining first would only get in the way. So let's start where you actually are. Right here, right now. Put your feet flat on the floor. Feel the ground meet your heels, the weight of your own body settling into something solid. Notice the temperature of the air against the back of your hands. Maybe there's a hum somewhere, a refrigerator, a fan, traffic far off like a tide. Let be there. You don't have to fix it. You just have to be inside your own skin for a few seconds, which is more than most of us manage all day. Now breathe in slowly. Not a gasp. Not the shallow sip of air we take when we're bracing for bad news. A long, unhurried breath, drawn down low into the belly, like you're filling a glass from the bottom up. Hold it gently, and let it out even slower than you took it in. Longer out than in. That's the whole trick. When the exhale stretches past the inhale, something old in the body, older than your worries, older than your name, gets the message that the danger has passed. The shoulders come down. The jaw unclenches. The tide of anxiety that's been roaring in your ears all these months drops a single, merciful notch. Do it again. In low and slow. Hold. Out. Longer. Softer. Feel the rhythm find you. This is what the body does when the heart and the breath stop arguing. When they fall into the same cadence and beat like one drum instead of two. There's a word for it, but the word doesn't matter half as much as the feeling, and the feeling is already arriving. That loosening behind the eyes. That small, surprising quiet under the breastbone, like a room where someone finally turned off a machine you'd stopped noticing was running. Hold that quiet, and now, while it lasts, do one thing inside it. Picture a single moment of your life going right. Not your whole future fixed. Not the lottery, not the cure, not the phone call that solves everything. Just one ordinary, good moment. A morning where your body doesn't ache. A conversation where you feel heard. A bill paid without the cold drop in your stomach. Hold that one small scene and let yourself feel it as if it were already true. The warmth of it, the relief in your chest. A handful of seconds, no longer than it takes to read this through. Did you feel that? That shift, however slight? That wasn't your imagination wandering off the leash. That was your body remembering a state it had nearly forgotten. Because here's the thing nobody selling you panic wants you to understand. A doctor will tell you the heart that slows for a real safety and the heart that slows for an imagined one are doing the same work, burning the same fuel, mending the same wear. To the chemistry under your skin, the calm is the calm, whether it came from the world outside or from a porch chair and a few quiet seconds you gave yourself. And this is where the change actually begins. Not in some distant year when the headlines soften. Not in a retreat you can't afford or a discipline you don't have time for. It begins in the first minute. This minute, the one you just spent breathing low and slow, holding a small good thing in your mind until your body believed it. You were told that protection was complicated, expensive, reserved for people with more time and more money and fewer scars than you. That was never true. The signal you just sent through yourself, that lowered heart, that lengthened breath, that single steady image of something going right. That is the foundation everything else gets built on. You're not waiting to be safe anymore. You started becoming safe the moment you sat down here. So notice it. You're already further than you were when this began. The ground hasn't changed. The news hasn't changed. But the man or the woman listening, something in there has already moved. Hold on to that, because there's a harder truth waiting just past this calm. The one that explains why the world worked so hard to keep you breathing shallow in the first place. And it won't wait much longer. Notice the room around you for a moment. The temperature of the air on your skin. The weight of your own hands resting wherever they rest. The quiet hum that lives just beneath the noise of the day. Something is different now. You may not have a word for it yet, but there's a stillness in your chest that wasn't there when this began, a loosening like a fist you didn't know you were clenching finally letting go. That tension you carried into this hour, the one stitched together from headlines and hospital bills and the silence of a phone that doesn't ring the way it used to. It's quieter now. Not gone, but quieter. That wasn't an accident, and it wasn't me. I want to be honest with you about something. The way a man tells the truth to someone he respects. I didn't give you anything in this past hour. I didn't hand you a pill or a promise or a secret. Everything you felt shift, the slowing of the breath, the warmth returning to your fingers, the way the world outside got a little less loud. All of that came from inside you. You activated it. The breath was yours. The rhythm your heart found. That steady coherence between the beating in your chest and the air moving through you. That was your own body remembering how it was built to feel before the world taught it to brace. I only pointed at the door. You walked through it. And here's what I've learned, sitting with all of this for longer than I care to admit, that what you just touched is not a one-time thing. It's not a candle you light once and watch burn out. It's more like a muscle. The first time you find that quiet, it feels like a small miracle. The 10th time, it feels like coming home. And somewhere down the road, when the next headline lands, and it will land because the world isn't going to stop being the world. You won't be standing there defenseless. You'll have something, a way back to the still center, no matter how hard the ground is shaking. But muscles need tending. The frequency you found tonight, that low steady wave your nervous system settled into, it fades if you leave it alone. The body forgets. It drifts back to the bracing, the clenching, the shallow breath at the top of the lungs. Not because you failed, because that's what bodies do when no one reminds them otherwise. So let me say this plainly, the way I'd say it to someone sitting across from me at the end of a long evening. If something moved in you tonight, if you felt even a single inch of that weight lift, then stay close. There's a small button somewhere on your screen, and pressing it is the simplest thing in the world. Subscribe, not because I need you to, because you just opened a door inside yourself, and I'd be honored to keep walking beside you while you learn to keep it open. This is what we do here, quietly, week after week. We take the chaos arriving through every screen, and we turn it into something you can hold. We build the protection from the inside out. The breath work, the slow practices that let your body settle into sleep instead of bracing against it. The small daily habits that keep your inner world steady when the outer one won't be. None of it loud, none of it preachy, just tools, real ones, the kind a man can use without believing in anything except his own breath and his own heartbeat. Because here's the truth, you cannot control the storm. You never could. The markets will do what markets do. The diagnosis will come or it won't. The loneliness will knock on some quiet Tuesday, whether you're ready or not. But the one thing, the only thing that has always been yours is the state you meet it in. The vibration you carry into the room. Whether you walk in clenched and shallow and afraid, or whether you walk in steady, grounded, breathing from the floor of your lungs with a heart that has remembered its own rhythm. That's not magic. That's not wishful thinking. That's biology and attention and the oldest kind of power there is, the kind you already own. You started something tonight. Don't let it be the last time. Stay with me. The muscle you woke tonight is faint still, easy to lose, and worth the keeping. There's more ground to cover before it holds on its own. Because in the final part of this, the part I've been waiting to tell you, there's a night years ago, a man at the end of his rope, and the single quiet thing that brought him back. That's where we're going next. Let me take you back to where this began. Windows fogging slowly from her own breath. In her hand, her phone, still glowing with a video she'd watched maybe 40 times by then. 17 seconds, a stranger's voice, a promise that sounded too simple to be true. And in her chest, that same low hum we've spent all this time learning to name. The hum of a world that keeps tilting, bills she couldn't outrun, a body that ached in places it never used to, a silence in her house that had grown too large. She was a therapist. She spent her days helping other people hold themselves together. And there she sat, coming apart quietly, in a car that smelled of cold coffee and rain on the dashboard vents. You remember her question, the one she asked no one in particular, the one that started all of this. What if the problem was never out there? At the time, you didn't understand what she meant. Maybe you thought it sounded like wishful thinking. Maybe a part of you wanted to scoff and look away. That part of you was honest. The world had given you every reason to be tired of easy answers. But you stayed. You came all this way with her. And somewhere in these last minutes, something in you began to lean toward what she was reaching for. That subtle shift, the moment your shoulders dropped an inch without your permission, the breath that went deeper than the one before it, the strange quiet that settles in when the body finally stops expecting the next blow. That's what she found in the car. Not some trick or sleight of hand, but something far less dramatic and far more durable. She discovered that the 17 seconds were never the point. The point was the state she had to enter to find them. That narrow, steady window where the heart slows, the breath lengthens, and the nervous system gives up its bracing for a blow that hasn't come. The same steadiness you've felt arrive on its own without anyone managing it when the body decides it can ease. She kept testing it, not because it fixed her finances or healed her overnight. It didn't. The world outside her windshield stayed exactly as chaotic as it had always been. The headlines didn't soften. The prices didn't fall. The silence in her house didn't fill itself. But she changed. The hum in her chest grew quieter. Her sleep deepened in those low, slow hours when the body does its real repair. She began to notice she was meeting her days from a different place inside herself, steadier, slower, harder to knock over. And from that place, she made different choices. The kind of person can only reach when dread isn't the one deciding for them. That is the whole of it, and it is almost embarrassing how plain it is. The world will not stop being chaotic. Let me say that clearly, the way a friend would, not a salesman. The economy will do what it does. Your body will age. People will come and go. There is no breathing pattern, no frequency, no quiet practice that will hand you control over any of it. But your inner state, the temperature of your own nervous system, the rhythm of your own heart, the way you sit inside your own skin when a hard day walks into the room, that was always yours. It was yours before you watched a single video. It will be yours long after you forget every word I've said. You didn't borrow it from me. You didn't buy it. You simply remembered something buried under years of noise. That's what real protection is. Not a wall against the world, a steadiness within it. So here's where I leave you. Wherever you're sitting right now, a quiet room, a parked car of your own, the last light of the day coming through the window, there's your breath going on as it has the whole time. The weight of your body in the chair, the faint warmth of your hands. You're still here. You made it through every hard thing that came before this moment, and you'll make it through what comes next. Not because the world got gentler, because something in you got quieter and steadier and harder for the world to take from you. The woman in the car drove home that night, back to the same house and the same silence, but she walked in differently. And that difference, small and invisible and entirely her own, was the only thing that ever needed to change. It was never in my hands, or in 17 seconds, or in a stranger's voice. It was in yours. It always was. So go gently from here and let it stay with you.